Hi, welcome to Creeps and Geeks. I'm Corey, and this is Brittany.
Okay, so we're going to start our very first episode talking a little bit about aliens and ghosts. So Corey is the skeptic, and I am the believer. So we're going to start with the aliens. It was just some news that I came up upon about Roswell being under new management, which I thought was interesting, but it belongs to Dinwiddle Cattle Company now. I think it was owned by a cattle company before. I don't even know. I mean, it's in the middle of New Mexico.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But the actual, Roswell crash site is in Corona. Everybody says that it's Roswell, New Mexico, but it's actually Corona. That's where, the major part of the crash. I'll put that in. I'll do that for you. I started, researching a little bit about, UFO sightings and, reporting, people reporting. And I found that the National UFO Reporting Center, I didn't even know that was a thing, there's about 2,400 sightings that were in 2018, and since I last looked, there was about 300 just in January of this year, in 2019. That's 2,400 sightings in the U.S. U.S. of A.
So not just over Roswell.
No, that's all of the U.S. That's not even counting all of North America, Mexico, Canada, whatever. And I mean, there being just 300 in January, that's 300 people.
It's it's a good time for Christmas lights to come down too, I think.
In January?
Yeah, January, right after Christmas.
Are you linking aliens and Christmas lights? Is that what you're doing?
Maybe.
All right.
It's possible.
And on the National UFO Reporting Center, on their website, California actually has the most reported sightings. Dating back, as far as I could find, 1999. It has 13,000 sightings since 1999. Why are you smiling?
If you say so.
What? So 13,000 people are wrong? What does that mean?
I think there's 13,000 people who aren't astronomers, for sure.
There's a couple images that I have already seen that Corey has glanced at. And these are actually in our state, in South Carolina. One of which is in Myrtle Beach. It's part of a video. And the first one was in October. They reported seeing weird lights.
It's a lightning strike. That's a storm.
Lightning.
This is Myrtle Beach. I lived in Myrtle Beach for a while. These storms like this happen every day.
But there was no actual lightning you couldn't see any lightning. There was no thunder, or anything, and there was no rain. Mm-hmm. So isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's a weird thunderstorm.
Yeah. The second image that I found, it didn't say exactly where it was in South Carolina, but it was triangle lights from 2016. Corey believes that they're flares.
Yeah, they're flares for sure.
They're in the little triangle formation.
We have so many military bases here, so many joint Air Force bases here. It's flares.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Okay. I have a personal story about aliens. Okay, now this is a personal story that's from my family.
So it didn't happen to you.
Okay, well, no, I was there. I was a child.
Oh, so
I don't remember this.
You don't remember. But,
okay.
But you're told.
This was a story told to me countless times by my aunt and father since I was young. In Washington State, while visiting my family as a child, sometime in the mid-90s, we were driving to a family member's house late at night on a winding, dark road. There were no other cars in sight, but suddenly, 7 massive bright lights slowly rose up roughly 50 yards in front of the car. The driver, my father, pulled over because the lights were blinding and he feared running into another car. After pulling over for a minute, the lights vanished as quickly as they had appeared. There were still no other cars nearby, and my family has never been able to really explain it.
So, there's my story. That's was passed down to me.
My mother had a few UFO stories. My mom used to spin tales about all sorts of crazy stuff, and this is one of those stories. It would have been sometime in the mid to late 70s. She lived in Miami, Florida, and would attend all sorts of events in the area. One of those events was an outdoor concert with an accompanying laser show. She spoke of how when the laser show ended, there was one single point of light remaining in the cloudy sky. The light sat motionless for a brief moment, and then out of nowhere shot off into the distance, as if ascending into outer space. She said it was a cloudy day and she could distinctly see it moving through the clouds, so it couldn't have been a laser. That being said, this was before I was born, so we're talking like the 70s. There's no telling how much pot my mom smoked that day. So
that day. Okay, so like talking about like alien movies, like Alien, I mean we got the X-Files, we got The Thing, we got Close Encounters. Let's suspend our disbelief real quick, and let's say, since you're the skeptic, if aliens were real,
which they are, mind you. I believe in aliens. I just don't believe that they're coming here.
Okay.
So
I mean, but do you believe that they're like intelligent, or do you believe that, or are they like microbes, or
could be?
Could be. Okay.
I'm open to any of those possibilities.
Yeah.
But I just don't think they're coming here. Okay. I don't think we're seeing alien spaceships flying through the sky. Mm-hmm. I think that people see things that look weird and they don't know what they are because they're not well knowledged in aerial phenomena.
Yeah.
And they just think it's, alien flying saucers or whatever.
But what if it was like a fire in the sky type of thing?
I mean, if it was,
scary.
that would be terrifying, but I don't think that's really happening. I think that people are lonely. And they
that dude wrote a book. He wrote a whole fucking book because he was lonely.
I think those guys wanted to be famous, probably. Is the story terrifying? Absolutely. That if that happened in real life, that would be horrific. But I don't think that's happening. I don't think that has happened. I don't think it will happen anytime in the near future. Or, the near future. I'll just say the near future.
Okay. Alright, so this is the second part of the video, which is ghosts. And this is also a South Carolina ghost story, which is apparently well known around the part of Union and Newberry County. It's called the Ghost Hound of Goshen. And I thought that this was interesting because you don't hear about ghost dogs or ghost cats as often. And I love dogs.
It'd be really way cooler to see, probably.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of creepy. I mean, seeing a person is creepy. Even a live person is creepy. But seeing, like some, devil hound or something, that's pretty, that's intense. Okay.
The story of the Ghost Hound of Goshen Hill begins sometime in the early to mid-1850s. A man and his large white dog came to the Newberry, Union County area of South Carolina. Most stories say the man is a peddler or a traveler, and sometime after he comes into town, he's blamed for a sudden murder. The town gathers a lynch mob and the man is hanged somewhere between Buncombe Road in Newberry County and Ebenezer Cemetery in Union County. His dog, on the other hand, was said to have protected the man's hung body. Different tellings give different scenarios on what happened to the dog. He was subsequently shot, had rocks thrown at him, or was taken down with an axe. Not long after the hanging, it was found that the traveler was not the killer, but another man in the town. Then the sightings of the ghost hound started. The first sighting allegedly started in 1855 when a young slave was sent to the home of a Dr. Douglas to have a sick man looked at. The boy reported to the doctor, while still very shaken, that the largest white dog that he had ever seen almost attacked him on the way to the doctor's house. The dog gave chase, then suddenly stopped in front of his mule, making the mule rear up and almost knock him off. The boy was so frightened he begged the doctor to let him stay the night, but was sent off. The next sighting was from a Dr. Cofield, who would not find an explanation for the apparition of the dog, whom he believed to be dead. Another man driving his cart and horse was said to have the hound chase him down the road, scaring his horses as it snarled and snapped at his heels. Many of the people who participated in the lynch mob fell prey to the ghost hound. A man claimed the dog bit his hand, almost severing it across the palm. Another man said the dog ran at him on a dock, which led to him nearly drowning. Another man was chased by the dog while on his horse, riding as fast as he could, and claimed the dog bit through his boot, leading to a limp for the rest of his life. The worst was left for the man who had killed the dog. He himself was never harmed, but his young son ended up disappearing in the area the dog was said to be killed, never to be seen again. In 1936, a local man named Barry Sanders reported seeing the ghost dog and being chased all the way to his front door by the hound. As soon as he turned around, there was no dog there. One of the most recent reports is from a woman in the 1970s claiming the ghost hound, as she saw it on her porch, leapt at her and grew larger as it did. The woman fainted and later woke up to find that the ghost hound was no longer there.
Somebody's been feeding that dog.
Somebody's been feeding the dog, yeah. I don't have any dog stories, like haunted dog stories.
Can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah, I do have a ghost story, though, that's pretty good, and I think I've told you.
I was living in Denver, Colorado, in a studio apartment with a friend in 2008 to 2009. It was conveniently located right next to the art school I was attending at the time. I hadn't lived in the building for very long, so wasn't entirely familiar with its history. I had gotten done with class in the middle of the day and started walking back to the apartment building. As you walk in, there's a small set of stairs to the left and a small office on the right for guests to sign in at. I walked up the stairs to head to my apartment on the first floor. My apartment was on the right, about 4 or 5 doors down. As I walked up the stairs, I saw a young woman, not much older than me, walk out of a door on the left and into my room on the right. She was pale, with long brown hair, and wore what I assumed was a kind of jogging outfit. A somewhat oversized pullover hoodie, some running shorts, and tennis shoes. It was strange because she looked directly at me as she walked across the hall into my room. Time seemed to move slower as I walked up the stairs. I stopped as I saw her open the door and go into my room. I thought my friend had invited someone over, which was no big deal, but I figured he would have let me know about it beforehand. I went into my apartment and greeted my friend and asked where his friend was. We lived in a studio apartment, so there was no hiding people. It was next to impossible. He looked puzzled and asked me what I was talking about. I replied, "That girl. I saw her come in just a minute ago. Is she in the bathroom?" He had no idea who I was talking about. I described what she looked like and told him I just saw her come in. His eyes grew wide and in a hushed tone, he said, "I think you saw a ghost." He explained that strange noises and happenings had been going on in the building since he moved in.
That it didn't register because it looked like a real person. So that's completely unexplainable to me. You know, like, I have no idea. Like, that couldn't have happened. You know what I mean? That person was there and then they weren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the place that I was living was known for, like, drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
And bad things.
Drugs are bad and you shouldn't do them.
Yeah.
I have a ghost story, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Only, I'll preface this with, I do not believe in ghosts. Even with this story, I don't believe in ghosts. But anyways, my story starts in the late 80s in Clifton, New Jersey. I couldn't have been any more than 5 years old at the time. My mom and I lived in an apartment building with her roommate Tom. My bedroom shared a wall with the stairwell that led up to the front door of the apartment. One night I was lying in my bed and I could hear the sound of feet coming up the stairs. I could hear the steps perfectly. I could sense the weight of them. As the footsteps got to the top of the stairs, I could hear the distinct sound of someone opening and then closing the door to our apartment. At some point, I decided to get up and go look and see who had come in, but when I opened the door to my room and peered out, no one was there. Other notable things that happened there were my mother seeing someone walking through the hallway from the bathroom to the living room, but no one was there, and our cat would sit on the kitchen table and stare up into the corner of the ceiling and meow incessantly. My mom always said there was something in the attic.
Demons.
Yeah, probably demons. Probably not. But yeah, that's my ghost story. That's about all I've got.
Yeah. I mean, that's creepy.
Yeah.
It's definitely creepy, especially with the cats.
Yeah. Honestly, looking back on it, it could have been somebody literally coming up the stairs and coming into the apartment, and they got into the apartment and went into their room because my mom had a roommate at the time, so he could have came home and went into his room before I got to the door and saw him there. I mean, it could have been any number of things, but again, I was really young. I don't necessarily trust in any memory from my young childhood because I was very imaginative, so
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe it was a ghost. I doubt it, but who knows?
Okay, so this is gonna basically wrap up our first episode. If you guys have any ideas of what we should feature next, or if y'all got any weird stories, aliens, ghosts, we're trying to cover everything. Supernatural, true crime, weird, all the weird.
Yeah.
All the things.
Anything scary, creepy, weird, whatever. It'd be cool. It'd be a good time. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications.
Yeah, you can do all those things also.
And
Hit
we'll
that bell.
hit the bell. We'll try to post a new video every week.
Slap it.
Just make it, do it.
Do it.